And we are live. Welcome to the Prince Magnum channel where hot rodding and romance do coexist. I'm your host, Prince Magnum. Welcome once again to another live stream. And in this one, this is one of the very first ones we've ever done for a look into our past like this. If you're not familiar with a look into our past, it's where I go back in time and take a look at some old subjects, whether it's video game related or things like that. Hey, what's going on? Think different. Welcome to the live, buddy. You're going to love this one. I'm actually presenting some old school gaming stuff that goes basically I managed to, for the most part, solve a mystery that's over 30 years old in the video game community. So you guys are going to love this. I can't, it's one of those things. It took me 6 months of nonstop looking into just basically kind of following the breadcrumbs that were left from that kind of started in 1982. That's when Swordquest started. Now, so we're going to kind of touch base on a lot of stuff. I'm going to give a lot of knowledge in this one. So if y'all ever wondered if I always say that I'm quite the detective. You guys are actually going to see for the very first time what I mean by detective skills. Oh, you were waiting for this, huh? Well, this one I had to kind of jockey around the schedule for the week. We're going to do a cooking live a little bit later on this week, probably Friday. So I had to kind of jockey around the schedule a little bit because we just didn't have everything that we needed for me to do a cooking live today. So no, we're kind of I kind of had to wait on this. I wanted to do one, but I had to wait, sort of thing. So it's one of those things that, hey, we'll wait, sometimes, basically we were going to do this one Friday, but because of logistics, I just had to kind of, swap it around real quick. So it's not super, this won't affect Sober Talk tomorrow. So, we're going to have some fun. You guys are going to kind of go back with me in time. Basically, I've got all of my information right over here. I've got some pictures and stuff that we can kind of touch on. Let me say right now, I am actually quite the detective. To give you an idea, hey, what's going on, Queen Bee? Okay, real quick, Queen, so you kind of know what's going on, get you caught up to speed. I had to jockey around my schedule that I wanted to do this week. I wanted to do a cooking today and do this one Friday, but it didn't quite work out that way. It was a logistics thing. I didn't have everything I needed to do a cooking live today. So, I just kind of have to wait. So later on, Friday, we're going to be doing a cooking live. Tomorrow is still Sober Talk. And of course, Saturday, everything permitting, Princess Faye will be slapping makeup on me again. And Sunday, we will be coming back. Sunday, I'm not 100% sure, but it looks like it's going to be another, dealing with this pandemic, some things that people were doing wrong and that sort of thing. So we had to, so we're going to do basically the only thing that really changed at this point was today. I had to kind of jockey the days around a little bit due to logistics. That whole, we're trying to, to limit our public involvement. And I think everyone can kind of understand that due to the pandemic. So real quick, this is a mystery that has been around in the video gaming community since the 1980s. And more specifically, it kind of got its start in 1982. So I had to follow the breadcrumbs and kind of connect the dots to be able to present this information to you guys. I reposted to Discord one of the earlier one of the earlier versions to this mystery. And basically where we kind of started walking through the games. And I'll tell you right now, hey, what's going on, Jesse? You're just in time. We're going to solve a mystery today. We are going to solve the mystery of Swordquest. Yes, everything's fine on her. There was nothing to really fix. We were just doing some light tune-up stuff, just a little bit of wrench time, some preventative maintenance stuff, and just things like that, making her run a little bit better. And then, of course, as soon as this pandemic is over, I want to be ready for car shows, so I wanted to kind of spend some time. Yeah, I already know. So, kind of a heads up, if I start buffering or anything starts going on during this live, that's just because the Wi-Fi is being affected by, believe it or not, the bad weather in the area. So kind of a heads up on that. But we're going to do our best to muscle through this and solve a mystery in the video gaming community that has been around since 1980. Well, technically, the mystery began in 1982, but it really became. Yes, we're talking Atari. How you doing, the amazing LSB? I had not got a chance to see your new video yet. I'll have to get over there and take a quick look see sometime after the live. I'll have to get over there and see one of your new videos. Okay, real quick, amazing LSB. You are in here so much. Hang on a second. We need to. There we go. All righty. So we have made a few minor adjustments. Jesse, you come in here tomorrow's live, and we're gonna be doing the same thing to you. You've been in here enough. I believe I can trust you to watch my back. Okay, amazing LSB. If you'll drop something in the live, you will see something has changed. You will see something that has changed. I know you'll watch my back while we deal with. We're trying to get through. Especially this is a very difficult subject because. We're talking a mystery over 30 years old. It goes all the way back to when I was a kid. As a matter of fact, when this mystery became a mystery in 1984, became a true mystery, let me say right now, when this truly became a mystery all the way back in 1984, I was in kindergarten. So that should tell you how old this is. And right now, hey, what's going on? Harold's Random Videos. Another amazing guy here on YouTube. We got a lot of amazing people right now in chat who are I'm doing fantastic. We are actually getting ready to solve the mystery of Swordquest. And I know with you being a gamer, you are going to love this because it's one of the oldest mysteries in video game history. And I played detective on this, and I love to play detective. As a matter of fact, let me give you, before we start diving into the actual information on this, I have actually been involved. Yes, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And James Rolfe was actually my inspiration for doing this. Okay, he was my inspiration for tackling this one. He more or less was like, we needed to, basically, this is going to be the good news, bad news scenario. Okay. So the good news is the mystery is solved. The bad news is that the contest will not be able to continue. So we'll get to that. All righty. So let me say right now, when I say I love to play detective, I have actually been involved in 2 criminal cases, not where, that sort of thing. Thank you. I actually got this at a car show. Thank you so much. I love it. You guys, I love the t-shirt too. My wife, Princess Faye, bought me this. Okay, so I've been involved in 2 criminal cases, actually being brought in as an outside investigator due to my knowledge with the medical field. And one of them was actually a murder case. This is not a joke. Not too far from here, it was ruled as a suicide, but it was ruled as suicide because of one of the suspects involved. To give you an idea, my ex, the mother of my first 2 daughters, one of her cousins was murdered. And I can't remember the exact town, but it wasn't too terribly far from here. It goes all the way back to 2001. So that should tell you how long ago this was. And when his twin, hey, what's going on, Sean? Just kind of giving my brain pan to show you guys, to explain how good of a detective I am. So I'm going to show you guys, explain all of that. All right. When they presented the information to me, I said, no, this is this, this is this. Basically, it was one of those things. They found the suicide weapon in his right hand. He was left-handed. And all of the burn marks, because there was a revolver found in his hand, was on his, hey, what's going on? We're live. Let's hope everyone's good. Yes, I am fantastic. So we were actually able to, so I was actually able to say, no, this is what they may have found, but this is what it really was, blah, blah, blah. And basically one of the suspects involved was an ex-police officer, so they were not going to prosecute. They ruled it as suicide. But I did crack that case. That was my very first detective's case. The second one that I was involved in was an attempted murder case, and it was just because of the fact that I was able to smell on someone's multivitamin that they had been laced with humulin R, basically insulin, and it was causing their blood sugar to drop, caused them to, they were carrying twins, and they miscarried one of the twins because of this. So I was able to crack that case as well, but because they didn't have enough concrete evidence, they couldn't prosecute. But they were like, the people at the lab, like, this guy knows his stuff. And that was because of, again, medical knowledge. So being a detective is kind of something that I do on the side for fun, if you will. So when James Rolfe presented, on Angry Video Game Nerd through Cinemassacre, when this was presented, the whole Swordquest series, I'm like, this is perfect. This is a perfect time for me to break out my detective skills and begin taking a look at it. So where did we have to begin? We had to begin when the contest began, all the way back in 1982. Now, I've got 2 videos up about that already. And we did a walkthrough of the first one. The second one, that one was an absolute nightmare, trying to figure that one out. And I just said, screw this. I'm not even going to, after about 10 minutes of trying to figure out what I was doing, I stopped the game and I started playing Space Invaders. Okay. So for those that do not know, the game series that I'm talking about was for the Atari 2600. The Atari 2600 came out in 1978, of course, through Atari. And at the time, there was a lot of game consoles out, and we didn't have a whole lot of information, what was good, what was bad. And we know about the Atari really took a hit in 1984 from the video game crash. It was in 1985 when Nintendo really, jumped into that market. And because, people were turned off by video games, home consoles, and more in particular, it was just arcade cabinets at that time. So, okay, you used to have exactly what I'm talking about. And of course, at that time, part of the video game crash, the video game crash was even, there was a lot of consoles out. There was the ColecoVision and Intellivision, and oh my gosh, there was Commodore 64. There was a lot of games, a lot of game consoles out there. And even though the Commodore 64 was a home computer, it was still mostly for video games. So there was a lot of this stuff going on where people, just did not know if they were getting a bad game. And so everyone knows about E.T. and E.T. was kind of the nail in the coffin in 84. So that should kind of get you caught up to speed with what was going on at Atari. Now, for the record, Commodore was bought out by Atari. And the guy who owned Commodore was a guy by the name of Jack Tramiel. We'll talk about him a little bit later in the live. Okay, so Jack Tramiel owned Commodore. Okay, so you're just like me. The first game that I ever played on Atari was Pac-Man. That was one of my very first games to play. Now, my very first video game ever was on an arcade cabinet called Pole Position. And it was the very first racing game I ever played. So again, we're back to, a lot of stuff that a lot of people take for granted today. Okay. And by the way, for the record, we will be doing something a little bit different. Okay, so you guys are all remembering those old games. Now, Swordquest was one of the early genres. Exactly. It was one of the early genres of the adventure games, the fantasy adventure games. But there was a couple of them before Swordquest called Adventure. And I've tinkered with those games a little bit. They're pretty cool. After Swordquest, the next one that we see is the Legend of Zelda series. And you all know how much I love Legend of Zelda. So you started off with the regular Nintendo. As a matter of fact, to give you an idea how put off people were to video game consoles in 1985, Nintendo of America, when they released the NES stood for Nintendo Entertainment System. Notice it does not say, Pastor. Yeah, it goes back a ways. So now that we kind of set the stage, if you will, the first thing that we're going to do, and you'll have to excuse the right. Well, I didn't necessarily own an Atari. My parents couldn't afford one. But if I went over to a friend, actually I prefer root beer, but that's just what we had on hand. So let's start this off. You guys probably seen the tag at the beginning, so I'm going to open that back up and kind of excuse the style of how I'm going to be presenting this to you. But imagine for a brief second that you would see this ad in a magazine. Now you can find this picture online. Obviously, that's where I took it from. But they're not kidding. These prizes were worth an awful lot of money. Okay. When did the last Atari, even though it was owned by Commodore, the Atari 2600 is still the longest standing video game console in the world. Atari was still supporting the 2600 all the way up until 1991. You could still get video games for the Atari 2600 in 1991. You could call Atari in 1991 and still get, support for your Atari 2600. And it got its start in 1978. So there you have that little, see what I mean by I had to do my homework? So it's kind of take that to bank. And of course, after that, we were in the bit wars, and of course, Nintendo and Sega Genesis with the 16-bit. Yeah, that's exactly right. And the 7800 was backwards compatible. What really probably hurt the 5200 is it wasn't backwards compatible, and the controllers were complete garbage. So that was one of the big downfalls of that, of the 5200. I'd never really got to see a 5200 except here on the internet. So let's talk about the treasures real quick. All right. So I'm going to turn you guys back over to my computer screen as best as I can. All right. Now, off with that talisman that you see right there. That is the talisman of Pentiment. I can never pronounce it. That particular talisman was in the first contest. The chalice was in the second. The crown of life was to be in the third, and the philosopher's stone was to be in the fourth part of it. And the sword that you see was supposed to be where they took the finalists from the 4 Swordquest games and brought them back together, and they battled it out in a custom version of the game, of one of the games, and then they won that sword. Now, to tell you how much each prize is worth. The talisman, the chalice of light, the crown of life, and the philosopher's stone was in 1982 listed at $25,000. That's right. Each game was based on an element, and so we're talking 1982 money, and these things were made by the Franklin Mint. Okay, so these were not cheap. Real gold, real platinum, real gems were involved in making these prizes. $25,000 for the four that I just mentioned in 1982. Now, that being said, the sword of ultimate sorcery in 1982 was estimated to be $50,000. That is awesome. Now, I know what all of you are going to ask me next. How much are these worth in today's money? Well, when I started doing my research at the late in 2019, I figured in for inflation for 2018. So in today's money, the talisman, the chalice of light, the crown of life, and the philosopher's stone, each in today's money is worth $65,564.89 in today's money. So if you were to have, say, that the talisman, that is worth $65,000, well, almost $66,000 in today's money, if that should give you an idea. The sword of ultimate sorcery in today's money is worth $131,129.79. So this is worth just a little over $131,000. This is why everyone is looking for these prizes, okay? Everyone wants to get their hands on it, on these prizes. Did you just, I'll give you a moment to kind of take that in. That is impressive, okay? Y'all are freaking now, aren't you? Okay, so now you guys see why it is so, well, okay, so, right. Okay, so now that we have discussed that, there was to be 4 games released, and here's how the contest would work. Okay, and we've talked about this in the two games, the two kind of playthroughs. I did a playthrough of Earthworld. Okay, and that game was released in 1982. To be specific, October of 1982. Fireworld was released in February of 1983. Waterworld was released in February of 1984. And last but not least, Airworld was never released. There has been some leaked photos of the prototype cartridge, but it was never released to the public. Okay, and that was due to the video game crash of 1984. So, oh, and Princess Faye just came in. Hi, honey.
I got caught in the store.
Are you okay?
I'm cold.
Turn off the air. Grab a blanket. Oh my goodness. Okay.
I parked too far away from the store.
Poor thing. Gosh darn you. Here. Come here. Take my blanket that I keep in here. It should be warm. I've been laying on it.
Oh, it's so cold.
Oh, everyone says, Sean says hi.
Hi, Sean.
Here, right here for a second. Go warm up, okay?
Okay.
I loves you.
My makeup all fucked up now.
No, you still look drop dead gorgeous, baby.
I'm all squishy.
Okay. All right. So now we've talked about the release dates. Let's now talk about how the contest goes. Basically, when you would buy the cartridge, when you would go to the store, you would buy the cartridge. It came in actually something almost this big, because inside the box was an actual comic book, and you needed that comic book. Okay. Yeah. Oh yeah. We'll definitely be doing that. Just not right now. You know, we got to finish this. And my bathroom looks like a disaster right now. Bad life choices. Okay. All righty. So now basically the way the contest would work is you would play the game. Okay. And in each game there was about 10 clues, 11 sometimes, depending. Okay. And you had to basically find all the clues. And then somewhere at the beginning of the comic book, they gave you kind of a clue which words you would need, and you would have to unscramble this puzzle using those words. What did the phrase mean? For example, with the first game, with Earthworld, the line that you needed was, hang on, make sure I got that correct before I give this out. For Earthworld, the proper quest was Quest in Tower, Talisman Found. Okay, so that was how that worked. Okay, and there was more words than that you had to find. So that should give you an idea. So once you did that, you would then put it on this little order form that was provided with the comic book. You would send it into Atari headquarters, and then they would take the people that managed to to figure it out. They would bring them in to kind of this secure location. Right. Okay. And they would bring you into this secure location. You played a custom version of the cartridge, and you had to beat it, and you had to unlock it with a certain amount of time. As soon as you did, you won the contest. And that was how Earthworld, Fireworld, and Waterworld actually worked. We'll get to Waterworld here in just a bit, because that one really starts getting steeped in mystery. Okay, the winner of Earthworld was a gentleman by the name of Stephen Bell. He won the talisman. Now, again, this was made by the Franklin Mint in 1982. All of the prizes were on display during the contest. You can actually see pictures online of the prizes at the contest. Okay, so this was serious stuff. Now I will tell you that the talisman that Stephen Bell won no longer exists. What ended up happening was he fell on hard times, and he had most of it melted down. The only thing that was left was the sword, the sword that was in the center of the talisman that was made of white gold. That was the only thing that was left. The rest of it was melted down because he fell on hard times. But he again fell on hard times later on, and that piece was also melted down. So the talisman no longer exists. Okay, bummer, way it is. Now we can go to Fireworld. That was a nightmare. My hat's off to early gamers on that one. That is not a joke, guys. That one was, I could not figure it out for the life of me. Maybe one of these days, once I get a capture card, we might have to try that live and let you guys see that one. But I promise you, you will hate it. Just trying to figure it out. But evidently, a lot of early gamers were able to figure it out. So much so that Atari was like, we have too many finalists, so tell us what you like about the game. And from the responses they got, they took the 50 best finalists and went and brought them into the same secure location. They played, and the guy who won that one was a gentleman by the name of Michael Rideout. He won the chalice. Now there are tons of pictures that you can see today of the chalice of light. Chalice of light. You can actually see tons of pictures of it. And he's really the go-to guy on the contest because there's really no one left over from Atari talking about it. Okay? There's no one talking about it from Atari. So, that being said now, we go an entire year before Waterworld was released. Now, I looked at Waterworld and it plays decent. If I spent enough time on it, I could probably get all the way through it. However, again, this is where now the contest is almost underground. Waterworld was released in a very limited quantity. You had to be a member of the Atari fan club to even be able to purchase this cartridge. To go along with this, there was only 2,000 of them released. And since it was released legally, Atari had to abide by the contest. They had to continue the contest. So what ends up happening is when they released this, secretly they brought in the handful of people. And here's where the mystery begins. Most people don't even know that this contest took place. So for the Crown of Life, there was a winner, but the winner has been kept secret all these years. That mystery even eludes me. I have not been able to figure out who won Waterworld. Hi, honey. So, if you will, I don't even know that one. That one's been kept that part of this mystery is going to be left up to, believe it or not, a detective better than me. So, whoever out there, you think it was Bill Gates? That might explain a few things, but that is where we're at on this, okay? So now we're at the Philosopher's Stone and the Sword of Ultimate Sorcery. Now, this is where I come in. Airworld was never released. And because of the video game crash of 1984, again, we know about the whole thing with the ET cartridge and all that stuff like that. And so with that video game crash, Airworld was never released. And then Atari was bought out by Commodore. Now, the thought was that Jack Tramiel, the president and CEO of Commodore, got his hands on the Philosopher's Stone and the Sword of Ultimate Sorcery. That is what was rumored. So, because of, oh goodness, sis, get your butt in here. All right. So because of this, that was the rumor for many, many years. Now, where the rumor got started was from one of the developers for the Swordquest series. There was two developers. Now, Dan Hitchens, not much is known about him after the days with Atari. But Todd Fry, the last update that we had, he is now, and he was a developer for Swordquest. He is now a developer with a company called Bondi. And he does, he helps actually make, educational AIs. So ironically enough, this guy is still at the top of his game after all these years, and that's Todd Fry. Okay. Now, where a lot of this information came from was a guy named Kurt Vendel, a co-writer for a book called Atari Inc. Business is Fun, okay? And he kind of provided some of the breadcrumbs for this. Now, let's talk briefly about Jack Tramiel. Jack Tramiel was born December 13th, 1928. And he died in April 8th, 2012. He was a Holocaust survivor. When Todd Fry came over to Jack Tramiel's place after, during kind of the last gasping days of, Commodore buying out Atari and everything, he thought he seen the sword of ultimate sorcery above Jack Tramiel's fireplace. However, we find out in the book Atari Inc. Business is Fun, we find out that that Jack Tramiel did not own. He did not take possession of the Sword of Ultimate Sorcery. So that means if he did not take possession, he does not have the Philosopher's Stone either. So the question remains, where do those pieces go? Well, in the inventory. Well, thank you so much, Queen. You are awesome. Awesome. Again, for everyone in the chat, if you have any questions, be sure to ask. Okay, so I'll do my best to answer those questions as we continue on. So now that we have kind of touched base on this, the first thing that we need to discuss is where did those last two prizes go? Well, those last two prizes had to obviously stay with, believe it or not, they had to stay with the Franklin Mint. So, because they stayed with the Franklin Mint, they would have been in their inventory. Because when Commodore bought Atari, let me say right now that those items were not on the list of inventory that went to Commodore. So when Commodore bought Atari, those items did not transfer to Commodore. So Jack Tramiel could not own those items. Now, it was rumored that maybe he went and bought them from the Franklin Mint. But again, if it's sitting here saying in that biography that Jack Tramiel did not own these items, that was just a mistake, it was just something he kind of picked up and just had over his fireplace, then it makes sense that it stayed with the Franklin Mint. So, so now we have to go to the Franklin Mint. This is where it starts getting a little difficult. And I will say right now, when I was looking here real quick, let me again bring up something that we can kind of work with. And kind of give you an idea. Here we go. Should give you an idea what the Sword of Ultimate Sorcery looked like. I have a better picture than that too. There you go. That was the actual contest. Very nice, very nice. And remember, in 1982, that was estimated to be $50,000. And I don't want to mention that how much they're worth now. Y'all crap a Miata if I do that again. All right. So the first thing that we need to talk about is what happened to the Franklin Mint? What happened to these items if they didn't transfer to Atari? All right, first thing we need to say is that with oh my goodness. The Franklin Mint went out of business back, and I think I've got this wrote down. The Franklin Mint went out of business in about the early 2000s. The name was still around, and a company called the Sequential Brand Group bought the name, just the name. So the Franklin Mint was brought back in name only, and they only sell like commemorative coins and things like that. So that means that they probably did not inherit all of the, what was in the inventory and everything like that, because the original Franklin Mint liquidated its inventory. So now it's even harder to find out. I actually found this out. When I called the Sequential Brand Group, I said, "You guys are in charge of the Franklin Mint, right?" They said, "Yes." I said, "I am actually looking for some information on some items that was in the Franklin Mint's inventory from between the years of 1982 and 1985. They're like, "You're looking for the Swordquest items, aren't you?" They knew right away. And I said, "That's exactly what I'm looking to find out about." And they said, "We don't have a clue. That information did not transfer to us. We only own the name Franklin Mint. And so we don't have any of that information about those items. I'm sorry, we can't help you." I said, "Well, if you accidentally come across any stuff, just, shoot me an email, whatever." And of course, I never heard back from them. Okay. They probably never found any of that information anyways. So I kind of thought, okay, that's the end of the trail. It's still a mystery. But Princess Faye's like, "I know you. You think of something. You'll think of something." And I sat around for probably a couple hours when I got this bad information, this bad news. And I sat there. We're going to get to that. Okay. So then it dawned on me, well, maybe I should look up the original Franklin Mint, look up the information on it. Well, went back and it was bought out in around 78, ironically enough, 1 year before I was born. And then it was bought by, of all the things, it was bought by, Turner Broadcasting. Turner Broadcasting used to own the original Franklin Mint, believe it or not, during a good part of the 1980s. So in 1982, Turner Broadcasting owned the Franklin Mint. So I'm like, all right, now we got to lead. We got to lead somewhere. Because even if they sold the company, a lot of that information will just be in a dusty old room. So what did I do? I immediately started looking up who I could contact inside of the old Turner Broadcasting Company, now today known as Warner Media, which Ted Turner really does not have a whole lot of say in Warner Media. He's just kind of a figurehead, the guy kind of started it, sort of thing. So I contacted Warner Media. They gave me another number and I kind of got jockeyed around a little bit, but eventually I got some young guy and I said, "Sir, I have a question for you. I'm pretty sure I already know the answer, but we just need some documentation to back it up." And that documentation, I said, I'm investigating the Swordquest series. He's like, "Swordquest? Oh, wow. You're investigating Swordquest? Well, how did that lead you to us?" And I said, "Warner Media, the old Turner Broadcasting Company, owned the Franklin Mint. The people who made all of the prizes, you guys owned them back between the years of 1982 to 1987. And he's like, "Oh, wow." And I said, "Somewhere in you guys' headquarters in a dusty room is what is the actual confirmation of what happened to those items. We pretty well know what happened to those items. but we need confirmation. And he immediately started taking down information. He's like, oh my God. He's like, the mystery could be solved and it's right underneath my feet. And he got really excited. I said, be the junior detective right now. I said, this is where the road ends. I said, I pretty well know what happened at this point. I said, but we just need confirmation. And he's like, okay, well, I don't know if anything got lost in the shuffle or what have you, but I never heard back from Warner Media. I'm some small time YouTuber. They're not really super worried about me. You know, I'm kind of on the piddly stick here. But we pretty well know what happened since Atari did not take possession of them. Well, that is another rumor. But here's what you got to understand, okay? We're talking business. Atari is, for the most part, out of business. They're owned by Commodore. The contest is stop close. You've got items with all of that, with all of the gems and the precious metals involved in those. Do you let them sit around and hope that someone buys them? Or do you melt them down and make stuff that you can sell and get your money back? And the answer is the second. You're going to melt it down. You're going to get your money back on it. You're going to sell. So somewhere out there, there's people who probably, you know, when they bought something from the Franklin Mint during that time, probably have some of the Swordquest contest in that item. There's an excellent chance of that. Just because of the fact that they're not going to leave that stuff just sitting around, and you really just can't up and sell it. It was a prize to a contest. Exactly. That's exactly it, Amazing LSB. That's exactly what happened to them. We just need the actual documentation that that's what happened. We know that's what happened at this point. So the contest, so when James Rolfe, right, so you remember seeing this stuff. I didn't hear about the contest till later on. My parents, again, you know, my parents didn't have a whole lot of money and did what they could. But we pretty well know that that's what happened to those items. So that was the end of the so pretty much this is it. This is the end of the contest. It's over. You know, we know that that the Franklin Mint did exactly what was good for business, and it really didn't matter because later on down the road, they went out of business anyways. They had to file. Real quick, if you're interested to know, Infogrames Entertainment owns the remains of Atari today, which I think is somewhere out of France. However, as Atari would go, they filed for bankruptcy back in 2013. Let's see. Again, Stephen Bell, still struggling in hard times. The only one that really came out of the contest that did exceptionally well was Michael Rideout. He keeps the Chalice of Light locked away in a special lockbox inside of a bank vault. I can't say as I blame him, considering how much that dang thing is worth today. Again, if you missed the prices, remember, we're going to talk, again, I'm going to tell you what these prizes were worth back then. The Talisman, the Chalice of Light, the Crown of Life, and the Philosopher's Stone. How you doing, sis? I'm bringing a close to an actual mystery. But again, these prizes back in 1982, the Talisman, the Chalice of Light, the Crown of Life, the Philosopher's Stone, was estimated to be $25,000 a piece. In today's money, $65,564.89. As when you figure in for inflation in 2018, okay? The Sword of Ultimate Sorcery was estimated to be $50,000 in 1982. In today's money, is worth $131,129.79. Good Lord, that is a lot of money. Other little tidbits, the comic books that I talked about that was packaged in each game was inked by none other than DC Comics. So, yeah, yeah. DC Comics did the actual comic books for Swordquest. Now, again, Swordquest got its got its inspiration from the Atari game called Adventure and Adventure 2. And then after that, of course, we know that the first fantasy video game that has really just, it is still loved by so many, is Legend of Zelda. So there you have it, which that's a convoluted mess of a timeline. Oh my gosh. That is a mess. That is a giant mess. They started messing that up back in the Super NES days. Maybe sometime we'll have to take a look at that convoluted mess. Woo! But yes, that's Swordquest. And real quick, hang on a second. Which one is this? I think this is, yeah, that's the, here you go. The cover art for the box. Still waiting for Zelda 3. That's for Swordquest Waterworld. So you have that. That was the actual artwork for the 2600. So there was that. And again, that was only 2,000 versions of that cartridge was released. Real quick, I'll get a picture of the talisman that we definitely know was melted down. This is the talisman. Very pretty. And then this is Stephen Bell. That's Stephen Bell. He won the talisman, obviously. You see him with it. This is Michael Rideout in 1983. That was him. Very 80s looking. This is him today. That's him with the chalice. This was the whole thing that you could. This was the advertisement for Fire World, the contest. The chalice today, very, very pretty. Very pretty. Nah, Bill Gates, no, not quite, not quite. Let's see. Here's another one of the ads. That's for Earthworld. And here's all the finalists for when Stephen Bell took it. Old black and white. And again, the Sword of Ultimate Sorcery. Yep, that was the Sword of Ultimate Sorcery, but unfortunately it does not exist anymore. We're pretty sure it was melted down when Atari was bought out. So we have that. The original cover art for Waterworld on the cartridge itself. And of course, what the cartridge looked like for Earthworld. So there you have it. And of course, some of the stuff from the actual gameplay from when we. There we go. Right. So the question would be, if those prizes were still, who ended up with bits and pieces of the Swordquest items that were melted back down. So that really is the ultimate question now. You know, where did the gold and the jewels that and the platinum and all that you know, when these items were melted down, you know, where did they go? So there you have it. The mystery, we pretty much the mystery was solved. We know that in the end that that Jack Trammell did not take he did not take possession of those. Again, for those who want to be on Jeopardy, Jack Trammell, the CEO of Commodore, he actually was a Holocaust survivor, um, and he passed away. Yeah, well, you know, I know who the troll is, and that sort of thing. Exactly, exactly. So again, I mean, we really, you know, it's one of those things that we know full well that that Jack Trammell did not. There's no way. It wasn't even. And remember, because in the 1980s, big business was under a microscope at this time by none other than the federal government, big business, because in the 1980s we were already going through that whole thing where right here in Missouri, the Times Beach, the Times Beach thing with bad business and all of that. Believe me, okay. There was already being watched by big business. Okay, so there was that whole deal, and so they had to list everything. And I could tell you right now, Commodore, even at that time, was struggling. So them buying Atari was just more or less trying to save their own bacon. And of course, we know about the blunders with Atari after that. You know, the Jaguar, the Lynx. You know, do I need to continue at that point? Um, you know, so that should give you an idea. So again, I mean, you know, there's no way that Jack Trammell would have been able to afford that. I mean, granted, Commodore was doing pretty good, and of course, to give you an idea, you know, Commodore what went under in the '90s with that whole Amiga 32. You know, so come on, they were already in deep debt as it is here in the U.S. So there was no way that Commodore could have afforded those items. There's no way. So there you have it. Okay. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people right now that, you know, with collectors, those collector coins and stuff like that, that may actually be. Well, what it boy, the person that left the dislike, I know exactly who it is, and this person's been warned to stay away from my channel, you know, and this was he'd already gotten his last warning. Those of you who have Discord, we're going to deal with this. We're going to deal with this. There's over 1,000 of us strong. We're going to deal with this because I'm tired of this guy. For almost 2 years now, he's been ticked off. The guy who beats cats is basically who it is. You know, he beat a cat on camera, not live, but on camera. Lost his original YouTube channel. Hey, what's going on, Clifford? And he lost his original YouTube channel. He restarts it, but he's so small time. It's like, why are you bothering me? Okay, I don't want nothing to do with you. He's also one of those gay bashers. So, you know, he's jealous. He's jealous. You know, he's jealous that the Prince Magnum channel is just growing. We were actually talking about the Atari 2600. As a matter of fact, let me bring this up. The volume is not necessary for this. To give you guys, right, I get it. There you go. My all-time favorite game. You guys ready for this? And I'm an idiot. This is my all-time favorite game. Space Invaders. Hey, what's going on? Well, Babe the Pig has joined us. Welcome to the live. But this is my all-time... No, this is not Pac-Man. It's Space Invaders. Which, for the record... I'm considering attempting to break the world record for Space Invaders. It's one of my all-time favorite games. So that might be a thing. We might try to do that one of these days. Where the high score is 140,000. 140,000. Ah, you got that game. You want me to try for it? We're gonna do it. We're gonna do it. We have to do it live, though. We're gonna have to totally do it live. Twin Galaxies, get ready. Prince Magnum's gonna be adding his name to that list for Space Invaders. Again, we covered a lot of ground in this live. Do you all have any questions about Swordquest? I mean, like I said. Galaga and yep. Yes, honey, I stole one of your SODs. I have what is known as the Atari Flashback. And it was out for a whole year. So did you LSB, did you learn anything in this one? I mean, I figured you'd be blown away by this. I'm going to get killed. It's been nice knowing y'all. I didn't have any time, honey. I didn't have any time. I mean, you all got to understand that what I had to do was I had to connect all the dots. Oh, thank you, honey. So again, I mean, like I said, this is just one of them things that, again, with the Swordquest contest here, again, I'll show you guys some pictures. Again, and you'll have to, here we go. Again, this was Stephen Bell, the first winner with Earthworld. And that was in 1982. And of course, Michael Rideout from 1983 for Fireworld. That was him. And this is the most recent picture that I have of him. So, and of course, again, there you go. The original cover art from the box for Waterworld for Swordquest. And that's one of the ads right there. And again, that's the sword, the talisman, the chalice, the crown, the Philosopher's Stone. So there you have it. What do you guys think? I mean, like I said, figured it out. We pretty well know that that's what happened, but we just got to get Warner Media to go into one of those dusty rooms and just start going through the filing cabinets. And I can pretty well guarantee they're going to find it in a dusty old filing cabinet, like the bottom of a stack of papers and everything like that that hadn't even been looked at since, the late 80s, maybe early 90s at best, just sitting there collecting dust. It probably looks like it's been, yeah. So some junior detective at basically a Warner Media is going to be is going to have the opportunity to make the news when he explains this is what happened. But again, so like I said, this was fun for me, doing detective work like this that didn't involve a criminal case. So now I've been on three major, three major cases, and two of them were actual criminal cases. Oh my gosh! So no more detective work like that. Let's stick to stuff like this. Mm. But I'll go onto the community page and onto the Discord, and well, I've already reposted the walkthrough of Earthworld, and I'll repost again so you guys can get a good look at it for Fireworld. Rest in peace, Kurt Cobain. You guys are awesome. So there you have it. I mean, wow. And like I said, it's going to be. I brought it up to the point where we pretty well know what happened. And when I basically said I blew when I was telling my partner Jam and John, here on the Prince Magnum channel, he's known as Jam and John, but over on his channel, he's known as Sketch Scars, artist type music, and he's had a rough way to go himself. So that's where the name comes from. But when every once in a while he'll have me go live and talk about Swordquest. But whenever I said on his channel that I blew the doors open on this, that I figured it out, let me say again, this was not it. This was 6 months of research. Today in 1990. Yep. Kurt Cobain, yes. Since you're going to talk about that, I was in high school when this happened in 1994. I was a freshman in high school. And when Kurt Cobain was found, all of us in school got so upset that they thought it was going to be another Elvis Presley moment, that they were going to have to send us all home because all of us were so upset. Nirvana was was a huge band at that time, started the grunge genre. And there was a handful of bands at that time that were really involved. Nirvana was obviously one of the big ones. Pearl Jam, huge. Stone Temple Pilot, huge. Soundgarden, even better. Soundgarden was one of my favorite bands at that time. Of course, Green Day, which I'm not a Green Day fan. I hate Green Day. But those particular groups right there, those Stone Temple Pilot and just groups like that, those were kind of the ones that were deeply ingrained into the grunge movement. And then from grunge, after the death, all very good bands. But with the death of grunge, with Kurt Cobain and Nirvana going, eventually we know they go on to be the Foo Fighters. Let me say right now, when Guns N' Roses got their start in the 80s with their album Appetite for Destruction. And then, of course, Use Your Illusion 1 and 2 and Lies, and just all good stuff. But, when you talk about with the whole thing of grunge dying with the death of Kurt Cobain, from that, basically, all of these, right, I'm still a Guns N' Roses fan. More than anything, I'm a Kiss fan. Kiss, Typo Negative, bands like that. Now that I've said that, when Kurt Cobain died, he took basically he took grunge with it. From that, since there was no more Nirvana, um, from that, basically all of the record labels started bringing in these bands, these cookie cutter bands that to make them sound like either Nirvana, Pearl Jam, Green Day, Stone Temple Pilot, or Soundgarden, one of these five bands in some way, shape, or form. And thus, yeah, thus created alternative rock. What we know today is alternative, which I don't call it that. I call it exactly what it is: industrial. It's just industrial rock. It's the same dang thing. It's all throwaway music for the most part. Every once in a while, you get one that grabs your ear, but for the most part, most of these bands will have one or two albums and we will forget them. Green Day was one of them. That was kind of I guess you could say, the beginning of that cookie cutter, just playing on the radio. The record labels make their money. We forget about the bands, and the next time you see them, they're asking if you want fries with that, okay? Because of the trap, they did not stay true to the art of music, okay? So that's another mystery in itself, is the death of Kurt Cobain. See? But myself personally, that's one of the reasons why I will say it right now. I am a fan of Typo Negative, for as close to modern as you can get. Typo Negative, Rob Zombie, and Marilyn Manson. For the record, Marilyn Manson is the modern day version, well, was the modern day version of what David Bowie was in the 1970s. So, and I was in high school then, when Kurt Cobain passed. Yep. That whenever he did when he did his album Mechanical Animals, when Marilyn Manson did his album Mechanical Animals, that whole album, his album usually has some sort of a theme behind it, and he started that with his album Antichrist Superstar. With Antichrist Superstar, it was this whole thing that maybe the Antichrist wasn't there to destroy the world. Maybe he was there to wake people up at the hypocrisy going on in the church. That was the design behind it. Then when he did Mechanical Animals, that whole album was focused on the death of glam rock, David Bowie. It's pretty much what he was talking about. As a matter of fact, when he did that song, "Rock Is Dead," that was what he was talking about, was the death of glam rock. And if you ever watched the music video on it, the whole band was like, we had so much fun doing that video. They had a blast. Then his album Hollywood was focused on it was kind of that whole thing with Adam and Eve. His whole thing with Adam feeling like he'd been screwed. So that's where that came in. And it was kind of all focused behind that. And then after that, I kind of lost track of it all. It was a different time. My alcoholism was taking over more and more. But I used to really study up on that stuff. Again, that probably doesn't surprise you. If I want to know it, I'll learn it. Like Swordquest. See, y'all get me talking on topics I know just a little bit about. Real quick, if you ever hear him for the record, we are now getting into the time frame where people don't even know who Ozzy Osbourne is anymore. Yeah, I never thought I'd see that day. It's like, how could you not know who Ozzy Osbourne is? That's like saying you don't know who Black Sabbath is. It don't make any sense to me. Okay, so um, so did y'all have any questions about Swordquest? Sean, you hungry? Did y'all have any awesome questions? I mean, like I said, this probably blew y'all away how much I studied up on this. Because, oh my gosh. Yeah, I had pages Led Zeppelin. That's my favorite Zeppelin right there, Led. I had tons and tons and tons. Oh gosh, this. Again, this Saturday, right. Oh, you should have seen. This was the information on just the first game. All of this was the information. And I was like, holy crap. But yes. What'd you retract? Because I can, no. I'll look at it later. Yeah. So there you have it, Swordquest. The mystery is solved after what? It started in 1984. If I'd have let this go all the way till the year 2000, 24, it'd have been what? 40 years? 40 years later, you know? So, gotcha. So there you have it. Mystery solved. We pretty well know what happened. So, again, the CEO of Commodore, Jack Tramiel, he passed away. And since we're talking about him, my thoughts and prayers with the family, with the passing of him. He passed away April 8th, 2012. And of course, he was born December 13th, 1928. So, and again, Jack Tramiel, the CEO of Commodore, was a Holocaust survivor. So, again, my thoughts and prayers with his family, with their loss. Yes, it was fantastic. It was fantastic. It was wonderful. It was gone by the next day, guaranteed. It was good. It was good. Today was supposed to be a cooking live, but due to logistics, I didn't have everything I needed. So we basically took what I was going to do Friday, moved it to today, and then took what I was going to do today and moved it, and moved it to Friday. So there will be a cooking live Friday. Along with that, Saturday, Princess Faye will be slathering makeup on me again. And my sister will be in the chat probably that day starting right at 7 o'clock and be picking on me the whole way through. I will catch flack. I will catch flack. My sister will just totally rip me from beginning to end. All right. So, yep, see. Oh, you will too? Queen. I could take a joke. Real quick, I'll tell you guys, at work, when the cat, I guess you could say the cat was out of the bag on, sis, I know how our whole family is for the most part. At work, they're going around calling me GG Hot Lips now. And it was my store manager that said this and I was like, you noticed, so basically you have focused in on the lipstick. Oh no, our anniversary was this past Sunday. Uh, our anniversary was this past Sunday. We were been married 6 years, and yeah, Princess Face put up with me 6 years. So I know my sister's probably going to say she deserves a medal for putting up with me that long. I remember that. Yes, so if all goes well and we have all of our logistics, we will be doing a cooking live. Yeah, yeah, a lot of people got hurt.
I'll let you know I'm gonna play some Animal Crossing.
Okay, honey.
So if you need me, you'll have to either scream really loud or just come throw something at me.
I think we're slowly winding it down. We're just running up some watch time minutes right now, babe. Might as well, you know. What the hell? Oh, you may not be in Friday? Well, okay, we'll be thinking of you. I keep waiting for Think Different because he doesn't live too terribly far from us. I keep waiting for one of these times I'll be in the middle of a cooking live and get a knock at the door. I'm waiting for it to happen because he doesn't live that terribly far from me.
Social distancing. This is my sody. This is my sody.
Yeah, but I'll be giving you money, so you'll just buy more.
Yes, give me all your muns.
I usually do.
Hey, I'm the one that pays the bills. What do you expect? Of course you give me the money.
That's right. My job is working on.
People, what's he saying?
Thank you for washing the dishes. You guys, see, that's the banter I love that goes on in the chat. You all tease each other. You know, I don't see anybody doing that in any of the other chats. I think I've noticed that we got a good banter going on. Y'all tease me and you tease each other, and everyone's just very comfortable with each other.
I'm not doing anything.
Gonna say, where's mine at?
You want me to go find him? You want to show him off on stream?
Yeah, show him off a little bit.
Here, hold my seat.
There you go. Isn't she pretty? Well, anyhow, my store manager, she's now calling me GG Hot Lips at work. Hey, what's going on? There's Babe the Pig. Well, you always got the playback. You always got the playback, you know. That's not so bad.
He was in his new favorite spot, so he's kind of mad at me for bugging him.
Oh, well, here you guys go. Look at this big cat. He's a big one, isn't he? Here, say hi to everybody, Taver. This is Taver. He's my buddy that takes care of me whenever I have when I have a PTSD flashback. Well, you know. Yep. He's actually my service animal.
Put him over your shoulder like he likes. And just do some of your stream with that.
Here. This should give you an idea. Oh, you had the windows tinted, huh?
I have Lena's windows are tinted, and after having the tinted windows on Lena, I will never own another vehicle without tinting its windows. It is the best thing ever.
This should give you an idea how big he is.
I'm gonna leave the door cracked so he can leave when you let him go. But I'm not playing the game now.
What you doing, buddy? You okay, babe?
Yeah, I just pushed the wall.
Yeah. No, I'd never seen that one. But yep, that's my buddy. That's Taver. We've been together a long time. Long time. My goodness. My goodness. All righty. Wow, you guys are awesome. Well, thank you. Thank you so much, LSP, for being here with me. We covered a lot of ground. This was awesome that you guys came in and got to hear me basically break a mystery. One that's over 30 years old, almost 40, 36 year mystery. So not bad, right? Not bad. Again, real quick, the two developers that were on Swordquest, Dan Hitchens. I don't know anything about him. I don't know. And then, of course, Todd Fry, he's developing AI tech as learning aids for a company called, I think it's actually Bonsai AI. So, not bad. Not bad. So, pretty cool. So, there you have it. I got the mystery. Got the mystery. All righty. So, where's his vest? Good luck getting a vest on that cat.
He doesn't leave the house, so he doesn't need a vest.
Yeah, he doesn't really necessarily leave the house anyway, so, you know. I still got to send off for the paperwork for him to even be registered as a service animal. But he's the one who takes care of me when I have my flashbacks. All right, let's see if we can't cover. All righty, so we're getting ready to wind this down. There's enough of us in here. There's enough of us in here. Who wants to do a raid? Who wants to raid? Does anybody want to do a raid? If you don't know what a raid is for those that do not know, that's basically where we show up in somebody else's other channel and we say that we're from another channel and that we're over there raiding them. And then we all smash the like button for them and just say hi to them. It's a great way to kind of boost their confidence or anything like that. Tell you what, who's live right now? Who's live? Who are we raiding? But that's what I'm asking. Who are we going to do this to? Because basically, as I shut this down, let's raid somebody. Okay. Because I've always wanted to do this. There's enough of us here. We need to do this. Let's see. Who do we got? Okay, moderators. Let's see. Who do you got? Who do you got? You kind of hear? Okay, who do we got? Let's see who's Daniel Live is live. Perfect. All right, let's go over to Daniel Live and just immediately when you get there, because as we all leave out, when we all leave out, I'll shut down the stream, but everyone go over to Daniel Live and immediately when you go in, thank you, honey. When you go in, just say Prince Magnum Raid or Prince Magnum Channel Raid. And he'll know what's up. We all smash the like button and hang out for a few and that sort of thing. So as I do my out, as I bring it to a close, we all go over there and we think different. What a raid is it's a way that when you shut down your live stream or during your live stream, everyone goes over there and it's a great way to build someone's confidence. It's a great way to build everyone's confidence. So I like to do this every now and again. We've done it before. Maverick Nation Raid, he'll know what's up. Okay. So All right, so as we wind this down, sis, you better jump in on this. This will be fun. You're going to love this. It's so much fun because everyone gets all excited about it. All right. And think different. Just all you got to do is tap that link, and then we all go over. So as I end it, we all go. Okay, we're going to do this. All right. Again, I am the Daniel Live. Okay. Princess Faye dropped his link in the chat. Sean. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to go over there and we're going to jump in his stream, Maverick Nation Raid, and he'll know what's going on. All right. This is the first time in Prince Magnum channel history we get to do a raid. All right. So we got to do this. Again, I'm the luckiest content creator in the world. I have all of you, the Maverick Nation, behind me. I can't ask for much more than that. I am the luckiest content creator in the world. You guys are awesome. And as always, for all of you, every last one of you out there, get out there and work on a project. I don't care what it is, just do something with yourself. Remember, idle hands and a creative mind go together like oil and water. If you have a sweetheart, sweep them off their feet and do something special for them today. And as always, for all of you out there, even in these dark times, if no one out there has told you that they love you today, Prince Magnum does. God bless you and have a happy 24. Thank you.